Welcome to Skin and Soul. I'm Gwenm A, a transformational body, sex, and soul coach, and I'm inviting you on a bold, unfiltered journey into the heart of our humanity through the lens of Eros. This is where we strip away the shame, dive into the unspoken, and embrace the wild, raw truth of our desires. Together, we'll crack open the taboo, uncover our deepest intimacies, and awaken the pulse of our sexual essence. Because real transformation, it's messy, it's thrilling, and it's oh so delicious. Buckle up, loves. Skin and Soul Beyond the Pale starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hi there, I'm Gwenm. I'm your host of Skin and Soul Beyond the Pale, and today I'm in conversation with Aaron Mandelbaum, who has such an interesting background. I love it. He's been researching, studying, and practicing and working in philosophy, transformation, and shamanism, and I love that you say since the late 1900s, which makes me feel like you're a vampire. I'm like, wait a second. Yes. And you've got certifications. So you're a coach in sex therapy, trauma-informed care, and body and somatic body work. So there's so much about your work that interests me. And I told you right off the bat, I would love to talk about integration because I just feel like we're on such a high these days. Everybody's seeking like the morphine drip, right? Everybody's on constantly and like, what is my next fix? What can I do that's more intense than the other? And I love that you bring in integration. So tell me more about how you work with,
It's so good. It's true too. It's the event, the workshop, the medicine journey, the bodywork session, whatever it is, like that's just the start. Like once you say goodbye or your week is over and you're flying back or whatever it is, it's like now it can start, because that's just like open. That's like cracking the book open for the first time, and it's like the journey is like, what is my life like with everything I've done plus this new experience? The experience isn't life. The experience is life plus that. And so integration is, how does that experience meld and fit with the same? Is it oil and water, or is it, a drop in the ocean? And I see this a lot where people are like, what event should I go to next? And like chasing the high of being at the event. I've been calling them, my friend lent me this term, shamasochists, where they're just like, more transformation. And it's so easy to get hooked on it. It really is. So there's no judgment that we're on a high and meeting new people and connecting and being inspired. And like, I love that. So I know it, I feel it, I've been there. And I've had moments where I completed a week-long workshop or something, and I literally just was like, I'm not grounded, I'm not resourced, I'm not safe to drive home even. What does this mean for my life?
Yeah, and a lot of people do that. I think like there's this, and there's also this handing over of power. I definitely, even whatever classes I used to take in acting and performing or whatever it was like, okay, yes, there's a gym, right? Like you get up and you have a practice in your day, and you incorporate it into your life of whatever is working. And then there's also the high of, I need somebody else to validate me. I need somebody else to push the high that's going to get me that next transformation. And what I like about you as well is like, because I fundamentally believe that we're here to live in the body and not just like escape from it. Because there's also that cutting off at the head, which people are either numb to, or they're like, I would rather live in space and God and divine, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's like coming back into the flesh.
That's so huge. And this is, similar to any other type of addiction, which I spent a lot of time working with too, which is, and it gets wishy-washy, and it's not just like drugs, it's not just alcohol, it could be sex, it could be shopping, it could be gambling, it could be chasing the next experience. And it's like, is this to go deeper or is it to escape? Right. And is the answer up and out, which there's a lot of paths and a lot of ways through all this stuff. And there's paths that are up and out. There's paths that are quiet and within, where I'm not going to talk for 10 days. And there's paths where like, I'm going to not touch anything or not open my eyes, like and live in the dark for 3 days. There's all these different paths and directions to go. And it's like that outward, even if it's within, that
Hmm.
outward, that otherness is great, but for the most part, we're living in an ordinary reality. So how do we incorporate this travel and um, exploration in non-ordinary reality? How do we return to ordinary reality with some of the gems that we can use for
Hmm.
ourselves and our other in our community? That's shamanism. That's moving
Yeah.
into a non-ordinary reality and coming back with gifts to share with the community. If it's escapist to just not be in ordinary reality, this is how we find a lot of, draw towards addiction. And a lot of those people who suffer with addiction and are drawn to that world of non-ordinary reality haven't had the guidance to do that in a safe and effective way. And we get caught up in the otherness instead of the integration. So integration
Yeah.
overall is like, how do we incorporate? How do these blend together nicely?
And how do we go deeper within ourselves? Because one thing I'm noticing, and I don't know how you feel about it, is, and when I must say, when I was growing up, doing ayahuasca was like a one-time hit, right? Like you did it maybe once or twice in your life. And I have since met some very dear friends of mine who are doing the hit like constantly, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I mean, my body's just not there, but I'm amazed at one, the resiliency, but I do question like where's the line of constantly going after that, like, oh, I need that to go in, I need that to feed myself, versus I can just be, or that I can attain those same states of being without going into any form of psychedelic or plant
Yeah.
medicine or yeah.
And I wish there were more communities that are for that are focusing on that. I'm on the board of a legal church in New York State, and for plant medicine journeys, among other things. And we've added a whole separate day to our experience where we're not doing anything else except being together and letting it land. And we're having sharing circles, and we have ongoing, support. And there's some communities where they're just filling the next retreat, and then it's like, okay, thanks, bye. I see these
Mhm.
people on Reddit, on the community on Reddit for ayahuasca. They're like, I've never done this before, but I'm gonna fly from Seattle to
Peru.
Peru for
Yeah.
eight ceremonies in 9 days.
And days,
And I'm like,
yeah.
do you really want to go through Peruvian customs on the way home? Like is that where you want to be? Like the day after your first 8 ayahuasca ceremonies? Um, so yeah, that is important. And it's different for a lot of people. People have different tolerances and people are in different places. So there's not a right answer. It's not to say like you can't do ayahuasca 8 days in a row. It's what's right. It's for whom and when. Is this right for you? Is this right for you right now? Because on the other extreme of trauma, it's like too soon, too much, and it's like too intense, and
Yeah.
it's too fast, right? So it's like, what's going to serve you in this moment? And if you've had that big insight, you don't have to go back to that place where you got the insight. Let's deal with there's value in, there's all this drive for like ego death, and I'm going to be one, and I want to live as a fractal, and great. And
Hmm.
I still have to buy eggs, and I still have to deal with paying taxes, and how do I
Yeah, I
incorporate
still
those
need to
things?
live in this. I still need to live in society, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you choose to like exit that, which then again, I'm like, you get to be the monk. I mean, you
Yeah.
can. And
And
there's
there's
and there's
shadow
different.
sides of people building community. Are you
Yeah.
building community to escape this ordinary reality and live together and be naked and make art all day?
Hmm.
Or is it to come together and build something that we're moving from here onward to, and that we're aligned with? Or is it we're all escaping this ordinary reality, and like one has a longer shelf life than the other in my experience.
Yeah. And one thing that I like in my work, it's all about increasing pleasure capacity, which is really feeling capacity or sensation capacity. So it's
Yeah.
like one thing to get out of your head. And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, can you actually sit in the sensations of your body long enough to feel something and sit with it?
Yeah.
Then you can talk about like increasing your
Oh
pleasure,
yeah.
your greed, sitting.
If you want a mind bending, like, journey, try not using your phone, a book, or a TV, and just be for a couple minutes and notice and see what you see where there's
Yeah.
numbness, and what does that feel like, and what can and can't you feel like.
Yeah, when
That's
you
a
put the
game
phone
changer.
away. I've got a retreat coming up, which I think is fun. And the first thing that she said to me was, "We're going to put our phones away," and you could just feel everybody in the room like, "What do
Clench.
you mean?
And
What do you?" And like, I'm thinking of all the excuses of like, "Can I put my phone away?" I
yeah,
mean, I'm bringing like a traditional book, to feel the pages,
yeah,
something we haven't done. And we are so, and me too, I'm so guilty of just getting on, first thing in the morning, after rolling over and thinking like,
yeah,
who texted me or like what's going on while I was asleep,
yes.
and living in a few time zones going, okay, well, this person's awake now, instead of just being able to put it away and not being on call. And we're so used to being on
It's
call all the time. Yeah.
yeah, it's
And I
amazing.
hate it.
It's true. It's one thing I say at a lot of workshops that I facilitate, we say like, um, just notice, like, if you smoke cigarettes, don't quit smoking because we don't want you with withdrawal during this work because that doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
But notice if you're smoking more. Notice if you're eating more carbs or sugar. Notice if you're on social media more. Like, which is a drug for you right now that's an escape from feeling and noticing what's going on? And the fun life hack that I do for corporate clients and for executives, and if I'm working one-on-one with an executive or a small business team or a company, like, um, first thing in the morning is a great time to be productive versus reactive. And it's very easy to go from being productive to reactive, and it's very hard to go from reactive to productive. And reactive is like
Yeah.
reading email, checking social media, things like this. Like, it's answering messages, especially when you wake up and there's a bunch of little red circles and numbers on your phone. It's easy to respond,
Yeah.
but it's a great time to be proactive and start the day. Like, what do I want to create? What do I want to build? Like, who am I now? And even just writing a to-do list of what you'd be interested in, or brainstorming something new, because it's very easy to go to reactive and it's very hard to go back. So first thing in the morning, love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do in your morning? How do you wake up in your
Yeah.
morning?
One thing that I like to do, well, before I go to sleep, I check my calendar so I know, like, do I have to get up and go? Like, if I have something early in the morning, I might move my alarm so that I can ease into and transition into something instead of rushing. Um, but first thing in the morning, like, I like to wake up as slow as possible. I have little rituals with just brushing my teeth and making coffee and looking outside, checking the bird feeder, things like that, and just seeing what the day is right now, and enjoying the moment of like feeling like my system's rebooted and I haven't launched any tabs yet, and so I have some capacity. So it might be looking around the house. It might be being with plants and seeing who's feeling what, who needs a trim, who needs some water. Some of this caretaking and coming back to the presence of the day and where actually am I? In otherwise, I'm on autopilot and operating the day in, this is how things are and this is what things are always like. And it's a nice opportunity to stop and say, what am I saying yes to? Where am I living? What am I doing in this moment? So, like, what's the state of my house? What's the state of my desk, my office, my, the world outside? Oh, it's windy. Okay. And there's a bird nest I didn't notice before. Like, landing
And
a little bit.
relationship, you're like, from what I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, your relationship, like rolling over,
Yeah.
going and seeing the human that's next to you,
Yeah.
that's puttering around the house, and like that's like part of the beautiful everyday that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
I think
Sometimes
because
it's
we become so.
confusion. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's
Yeah,
what's new, what that's wasn't there before, what's going on. But
yeah.
approaching it with some curiosity without judgment. Curiosity without judgment is great. Um,
Mhm.
presence without, performance. And
I think most people
I,
don't know what that is. Honestly, I don't. I mean, it's taken me God knows how long to really sit with presence without performance, without trying,
yeah,
which doesn't mean without effort necessarily. It's just taking off the masks. And definitely, I've been laughing these days at those the comedians that are talking about women in menopause, that like the estrogen level goes down, and so the bullshit meter goes down very quickly. It's like, I have no desire to pretend anymore.
Yeah, like
Sometimes
I
pretending is
earned
good,
to
but
be real with you. Here's what's actually up. Like we're skipping a couple steps, and I'm just going to tell you it like it is.
yeah.
And then that's this ideal that's like, wow, I wish I could be as confident as her, or this person or that person. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Just remove a few hormones. Just get
just
rid of a few hormones. And I'm telling you that nurturing moment.
yeah.
I was saying, yeah, which I think again, this comedian was talking about men that are missing that estrogen piece. I'm like, oh
Yes.
yes.
And on the other side of it, it's
Yeah.
like it shows up as like confidence or directness, but it's also
Mhm.
like um I'm not performing. I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm not um speaking from a hurt place in order to be loved.
Yeah.
It's like this is just what's up. And yeah, I'm adept at now speaking into how somebody listens, and I can communicate well, so I can talk about something in a way that someone else can hear it well. If I'm talking to somebody and they've got a bunch of baseball stuff around them, I might make baseball analogies,
Mhm.
even though I don't care about baseball at all. But I want it to land what I'm, for who they are. Um, but still, it's like, am I speaking to get something? Am I speaking from hurt, from loss, or from upset? Or can I actually be present with who this person is? If I'm deeply present with someone, I may not have to speak at all. We could just sit and be together.
Yeah.
And that's
And it's
great.
one of the most interesting. I think that's when things get really interesting. If you can sit with someone and I don't think it necessarily means that there's no discomfort. In fact, sit with somebody for 3 minutes and you'll start to feel where your body's really alive
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very quickly.
They used to say, who was it? I don't think it was Ram Dass. I think it was, and maybe it was a psychologist. Somebody was saying, like, if you think you're enlightened, spend a weekend with your parents. Um,
Oh, yeah, everything goes out the window. I mean, for all the work that you do, and I know this because I've been with my mother for 6 months now, and I'm pretty good,
yeah.
except by the end I was definitely reaching my max, and I was like, all of this work is going out the window. All of those triggers are just, I'm like, I mean, I could feel them, I could
Yeah.
recognize them. In the moment, I'm like, yep, all out the window. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And
with work. That's with a lot of work.
the deep presence is also the recognition and appreciation for the trigger. Like, wow, something's triggering me here. This is an
Mhm.
opportunity to find what happened in the past that's like was the wobble that I'm still responding to. It could
Mhm.
have been something that happened when I was 5 years old and I'm still responding to it. There's something that's a trigger here. Can I take that as a moment to get curious without judgment and find out, like, is my presence right now being dictated by the 5-year-old me or by who I am now? And there's all sorts of gems in there.
Oh yeah, and it's layer by layer. Which then I wanted to circle back a bit because I know that you have a degree in you said ontology,
Mm,
death, and sex ethics, and I'm like, how on earth? Because as someone who's always been interested in spirituality, I'm like, ontology. Like I got to go look that up. I mean, I was interested in quantum physics
cool.
really,
Yeah.
really like at a very when quantum physics was a pseudoscience,
Mm-hmm.
which was also in the late 1900s. I love that. I
Chaos
am also a
theory and
vampire.
things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, how did you find your way into ontology and death? Like, you've got to tell me how those things weave together for you.
It's so cool. So for those who don't know, ontology is the precursor for existentialism. Um, so before Sartre, there was a German philosopher named Martin Heidegger who came out of phenomenology from his teacher, Hegel, Husserl, that type of world. Um, Phenomenology is the study of like things as they are right now. And ontology asks the question, what does it mean to be? And it also says, is asking like, why anything instead of nothing? Like, why even this?
Mhm.
He Heidegger's work talks a lot about you know entities for whom their being is an issue for them. Like people who are in psychology might say metacognition, like thinking about thinking and an awareness that we're alive. We can't prove that any other species has this, so he doesn't use human, but he's talking about entities for whom that's the case, and we know that at least humans are this. And one of the main precepts is this idea that, which links really nice into presence, and you'll see how since he started writing this, a lot of people have built some Venn diagrams with Heidegger and Eastern thought, like Buddhism and Zen. His idea is that we're in this constant state of running away from the fact that we're going to die, and that our default state is this anxiety and this angst, and we're thrown, he uses the word, we're thrown into this world of, our parents and our circumstances of where we are, and the ideals that they have that are inserted into us. Before nature and nurture, we show up in a certain type of world and community and society. And there's this, it doesn't even show up as like a fear of death. It's just this anxious state where we're constantly running away from it into pop culture, gossip, current events that are, may or may not have a lifelong impact, and letting ourselves be dissolved into this collective that he would call the they. And so many of the ways that the fear of death present itself is it's fascinating. All the little nuances of how death shows up. A lot of that is the rituals that we have around burying people who have died, and like what's going on in the language we use for it. There's some belief, there's some faith, yes, and there's some people who are saying, "Oh, I know my grandfather's looking down on me," and is that really rooted in this idea of an afterlife to protect our own fear that what if there's nothing?
I don't know if you've had the experience, but I know when I was very, very young, I remember like looping in my head a lot, going, like I'd open up my eyes thinking, I am. And I was very, very young at the time. I was just like, the absurdity of it struck me at that time. And of like, I can't believe there is quote unquote life. Like you said, the fact that there is a life at all, that brings us into a place of deep reflection, and how it then, I think the fear of death for me got inserted much later, with other people's ideas.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there was always a sense of knowing, but I don't know why I had that knowing, because I certainly know that my parents didn't.
Yeah, well, as soon as you recognize that I'm alive, it creates the possibility that you won't be at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And one of a Heidegger quote that I love, that I find is true, is unlike dying, death is not actually part of our life. And I find most people are afraid of dying and have no awareness for what death would be like. And we won't know. We can't know. The part of us that's there, and I say this to people going to the ayahuasca, like the part of you that's nervous now probably won't be there during the ceremony. The part of you that's worried about life after death, like you really want to, what I hear often in people is like a continuation of their life as is now, with all their awareness and their memory and their history. It's like, your best hope for an afterlife is more of this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the limit of the creativity? Like, what if there could be anything and you want more of this? Like, what is it that's holding us on to what is it that has us hold on to more of this? And it's a really interesting question.
I think it depends whether you like this. I don't know, because there's a lot of people don't like. My father, I don't think I certainly wasn't religious, but definitely towards, a coming toward the end of his life, that was the first time I started to hear him talk about God in the sense, right? Like, at least I hope there's one. But for the longest time it was, and my father is Jewish, but I would say like was more culturally Jewish. And so would go through the ceremonial, but then was like, there's no God. I'm like, this is, which again jarred my brain, because I'm like, okay. But there was a sense of, oh, I want something. And I think the dying part is the piece around the thought of loss. And I think we talked about it last time. Is like, for me, there's like this sense of fear of loss, of especially
Mhm.
when you start to really appreciate life
Yes.
and appreciate the parts that you have not lived and the parts that you denied yourself,
Yeah.
and
And
then
if you've
starting
been
to.
with someone in those last moments who's I've been fortunate enough to experience people who were fighting to live, doing all this intervention and medical stuff and really and doing all this stuff. And once they were like, no, I'm ready. Like
Mhm.
once they realized they were ready, there's this moment of surrender. The ease, not just like in the room, is
Mm.
palpable. Like there's this ease, there's this flow, there's this calmness for them. They're smiling more. Like their body is relaxing. Like this surrender into that is so beautiful. And what and you can't force that on anybody, but like
No.
once getting to see that is quite remarkable. So yeah, there's this brain, and then there's this deeper sense of like, actually, you know what, I'm really ready. It's the same as like, am I hungry? Like, yeah, I'm really hungry. Like I'm ready. I need to, or is it a need, or is it like an avoidance? Like, oh no, it's too early,
Well,
or I
some
just
people,
need.
I've seen it in pet. I've had
Mhm.
pets, my cat, a dog, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny looking at like certain characters. We had a, excuse me, we've had a Jack Russell Terrier, and he was like super tenacious. I say he's my spirit dog.
Mhm.
Very tenacious, did not want to let go of life whatsoever, even in pain, even in like so many things. There was like a sense of a fight right to the end. And I've had a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, who passed away. And again, there was this, for me anyway, in witnessing that, there was a sense of real fight. I'm not even sure there was ever a surrender.
Mm.
Whereas I I think the hope for all of us is that there's a sense of, we get visited, whatever it is, that we see the light before the moment of going,
Mm.
if you're so lucky, that maybe you are 95 or something close, in good health, and that
Yeah.
you're just like relinquishing yourself. Not everybody gets that, but
No, there's a lot of ways that life ends, and it can be surprising and traumatic and painful and like all these different things. Like, um, so yeah, I should qualify a lot of those moments where people who were older age or failing health, or just recognized, or had some sort of disease or disorder, and they were clear that, yeah, I can fight this, or I can stop. And fight it or stop is one level of conversation, but surrendering and being ready instead of deciding, that is a palpable shift.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which then brings
Yeah.
me to, how do you bring in the sex ethics, right? So,
Yes,
because there's such an interesting, you've went, and I know that they all tie together in some
they
way.
all
Like
tie
they're,
together.
to me,
It's
they're like
amazing. Like,
they're the most delicious things that you're never allowed to talk about at a dinner table. That I'm like, oh, this is the stuff like that we should all talk about: sex,
yeah,
death, and like the mystics of life.
exactly. I did all the taboo stuff. Like I should have thrown in like religion and politics too, or something,
Mhm.
just to round it out.
Right? Yeah.
um, it is funny, like you're saying, the through line. I then, years later ended up doing an MBA in business strategy and doing that whole thing. And it's like, well, how does that track? And it's like, the through line is the same. Is like, are we aware of what we're aware of? And how do we, is there room for improvement? Is this what we really want? Um, yeah, the homework for sexual ethics was not as exciting as I had hoped, when I was studying it in school. But sexual ethics asks questions like, do you have to be in love to have sex? Is sex for procreation or not? Um, is it okay to pay for sex? Gender and, that whole conversation about sex, sexual identity. What is taboo? What is quote unquote perverse, which is the term that they use for a long time. Um, and all of this is before, because it's philosophical. It's before the whole conversations about consent and boundaries and stuff like that, which I'm a big fan of, in terms of being in synergy with humanity and not creating anything that's uncomfortable. But yeah, some of the questions about sexual ethics led me to start to think about different flavors and ways that people are relating and connecting. And can we look at those without the agenda of this is right, this is wrong, and helping people figure out with ease what those guidelines are for themselves? Now, it's hard enough in society to explain or to take the moment to explain that morals and ethics are totally different things. Moral conversation is internally, and ethics is when you involve somebody else. And there's been so much information passed down about what sex is, has to be, should be, shouldn't be. And more often than not, what's passed down is actually silence.
Mm-hmm.
My sex talk was, did you understand that joke we both overheard about the number 69? And I lied and said I did understand it when I was, 8 or 9 or something like that. And that was my sex
That was
talk.
your parents? That was
That
your,
was my father. That was my sex talk.
but that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was the most I got. I got 3 hours on how to use the record player and not smudge the records and skip, and scratch it.
Yeah.
And how to clean the dust off. Like, I got a really long talk about playing music and protecting the record collection, but that was my sex talk. So most of what we learn about sex now is transmitted through silence, avoidance, and TV, movies, music, stuff like that. And it seems like everyone's just discovering it again for the first time and not having had any guidance about it. So,
and there's so much judgment around it. Like, there's still, when you talk about silence, like, I think, I was again talking with a friend today around intimacy, right? And how much easier it is to have sex with somebody,
yes,
where you think there's a major connection, right? But that's not intimacy. And intimacy is, I'm going to go back to, it's trusting yourself enough to open up to another human being. But I think also we're all terrified,
yes,
included still, like, there's parts of me that open up that go, oh my God, you can see me now. And that goes back to, like, just sitting with somebody for 3 to 5 minutes, right? Just sitting
yeah,
in someone's presence and just breathing with them. That terror of being seen, whatever it is you think that they're going to see, that part of you that you're like, oh,
yeah.
I can't be seen as that. I won't be loved. I won't be liked. You're going to leave me. You're going to, and what
It's
I'm
true, because
thinking is heinous.
I hate this word vulnerability. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
real definition of vulnerability is like open for attack. And it's like we're saying, like, the uncomfortableness with being with somebody is like so much of this mental gymnastics of like, they're going to shame me, they're going to hurt me, they're going to judge me, they're not going to like me, they'll think I like them, but I only like them in this way. Like, it's all this gymnastics happening, and it feels like it's potential for attack. And it could just be like, I'm going to open myself up to be seen so I can see you, so we can remember how similar we are, and
Mm-hmm.
like, that can be a beautiful place of love, is let's remember how connected we are. In doing some of these, like, these workshops and courses and facilitating these things around the world, like, no matter age, race, gender, nationality, the most different people you can imagine, the young, you know, um, gender fluid person who's, just coming into the world now, who's like in their 20s in New York City, and the 70-year-old person in Ireland who's, you know, never expressed an emotion, or, or prevented from that by their family. Like, they're sharing in a morning circle is so much the same. Like, am I okay? Am I lovable? Will someone want to, touch me? And maybe my parents did as good a job as they could have, and it's just less than I wanted.
Yeah.
We're all the same.
And then we realize, like, how much judgment we hold individually,
Yes.
because it's been passed down. And one of the things that I love is the question of, like, what do you allow yourself? What will you allow yourself to feel? What will you allow yourself to admit to yourself? What you really like, what you really want, how you want to live, and even the things that you want to say that are terrified in your vulnerability. And I love Brene Brown, right, who talks all about vulnerability and gets, and it's
Yes.
just like, it's this, and vulnerability, I love it, is not saying the thing that you think you don't want to say. It's the thing that comes out, or the behavior that comes out that like you're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, I'm caught, right? And it's like it's the red-handed, like
Oh,
I feel sick now.
forcing yourself
I
to
want to
say
hide.
something that you don't want is not vulnerability. That's like
No.
violating your own boundaries. Vulnerability is saying like, I'm nervous to say this and I'm not sure why.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great vulnerability.
Yeah. Or just being caught in that like emotional moment where somebody walks in on you and you're like,
Yeah.
oh God, that's vulnerable. Yeah,
It's
absolutely. So,
amazing. Like we went through something in the US with Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. And there's this accusation that he performed a sex act with this person who wasn't his wife. And it went into denial, 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 denial until it was actually, no, I did do that. This could have been an amazing opportunity to talk about, you know, desire, consent, working through with a partner, like what that looked like, what it was. We will never know if that was a consensual thing with him and Hillary or not.
mhm.
Like, because it wasn't okay to even talk about. And the whole thing, like to the point of getting impeached, of like one of only very few presidents to get impeached or having that talked about, like over a sex act.
Mhm. Kind of ironic
Miss,
these days.
yeah. And then missed this opportunity to have a real conversation about like humanity. And like we don't want leaders who have libido. And like so many different conversations. It was such a missed
Mhm.
opportunity and got covered and buried and squished down and seen as like desire is wrong and eros is wrong and things like that. Talking about like an opportunity to be vulnerable and talk about what's going on. It could have
Yeah.
saved a lot of torment for a lot of people's lives too.
It's still like an uncomfortable conversation. And I'm a person who's like really, like I'm learning about my own internal privacy, which is one thing.
Yeah.
But being able to have a conversation about sex at a table is usually a fun or enlightening, but it's still the conversation that, again, it's like religion, sex, politics
Politics. Yeah.
are the like the big taboos at the table, and I'm like, these are the most interesting things to talk about. I could give a shit about the weather, like honestly, like let's get in there, let's talk about like what's so. Which brings me to, I want to talk to you about sacred kink.
Cool.
And we'll probably do like another episode with you on sacred kink, but
Love
I
it.
just wanted to touch it on it because I know that you have uh, you can enter into the Dark Star Temple and you do some super interesting thing. But I think most people have a basic understanding of what kink is,
Yeah.
and that there's like an understanding, maybe basically also around sacred sex if they're thinking of
Mhm.
tantra. But just in the idea of like coming together of like what is sacred kink.
That's great. Yeah. One of my teachers likes to say, for non-kinky people, kink is anything they won't do.
Yeah.
And for kinky people, kink is everything. Like, I have a microphone kink, I have a plant kink, I have a water bottle kink, like whatever it is. Like it's just, it could be anything. So there's a whole world of like taboo around kink as being odd, other, strange, painful, something like
Perverse.
that. Perverse, yeah. Um, and it could, a synonym for kink is preference. Like this is my preference. Like I've got a foot kink. I've got some people have a vanilla kink, like nothing fancy. Like we're gonna be, you know, this is how we're doing it. Um, so uh so kink is kink can handle a lot of different things. And so many of the things that we have in other realms of life are part of kink. Kink community in general, if to be broad, has very good consent, very good boundaries. They're very open. They're really good about talking about what works, what's in the moment, stopping when something is not right all of a sudden, and moving on without judgment. Um, finding some
Which
limits,
takes a lot of presence, by the way, which we
which
didn't
takes a
touch that much.
lot of
Lot of
presence.
presence.
Energetic presence, physical presence, mental presence. Like, oh, like I said it was okay then, but maybe it's not now. Or I consented to this and it was way more mind-blowing than I thought it was going to be. And like now I need to say no. Like that's a whole new layer of consent that's still, new in a lot of the literature and work around consent. So yeah, kink exists. It includes generally it might include some things like different types of touch that is consensual. Um, Power dynamics or role playing and taking on a different persona, and which is a bit of a giving up and or taking on, might include some domination and submission as a version of role playing, and among a lot of other things. So that's one bucket. Sacredness on the other side, anything can be sacred if we say so. And what has it be sacred is bringing the presence, mindfulness, reverence, awareness, not doing it kind of offhandedly, right? Like I could sit here and do my nails and just while we're having a conversation and all that.
I'm being mindless about it.
Yeah, or I could be, intentional, focused, and that this is like I'm shedding part of my body. I'm cutting off part of my body, and like, where's that going to go? And like, turn this into I could turn anything into a ritual and bring some sacredness there. Part of why we might combine those is because, like anything else, there's a scale of kink, of sacredness, right? So for some people, their sacred is they go to mass on Sunday. They don't really pay attention. They're Christian and they don't know what Christ-like even means, and they're going through the motions. And this could happen in any religion. That just came to mind. And for kink, it's like I like being spanked or pretending that like I need to get an A in this class, and I'll do anything to get it, right? And that's our little scene for the night. And when we bring those two things together, like what is possible? Intimacy, this vulnerability, this learning more about ourselves through sharing our boundaries and our fears and our desires. Maybe it's
bringing in the divine. I like the idea of bringing in the
yes.
bringing in the sense of the goddess or the god.
Yes.
Or the, yeah.
Exactly. And that this may not just be for us. It may not just be for our bodies. It may not just be for now. Could this be a prayer for humanity? Can we add this layer of intentionality to it? We can
also I just wanted to add, can it also, like, this thing that we think is so taboo, like you said, for those people who are like so afraid of kink that that is like the other thing, like that nobody touches, but that you can bring it into, like, this is that it is beautiful, that there isn't that this isn't something that is perverse and strange or whatever, that we can also embrace our weird, because I think everybody's a little weird. Everybody,
let's try new things.
Yeah,
we don't have. If you watch little kids are great scientists, and they're so curious. They're happy to touch and explore. They're ready to try new things, and we've lost that. And this sacredness with kink can also bring a therapeutic element too, which is reclaiming or healing some different things through this role play, through this power dynamics, giving up control. If you talk to people who are professional doms and dominatrixes and things like that, they're working with high power people who want to give up their control for a little bit and surrender some of that, or people who've had traumatic experiences who want to reenact it in a way where they can reclaim saying their no and having it heard. I'd say with all these things, with like kink and bringing in new toys and stuff, like take the time to learn the safety of it, the energetic, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual safety of what you're doing. Creating a ritual willy-nilly and like opening some portal, that could be,
interesting. Well, there is that show. What is it called? Like, I don't know, something took me to the ER, you know, the sex toy that took you to the ER
Yes.
because you didn't read the directions, or you're like, I'm gonna try something, and you're like, I'm always like, so, you know, anally make sure there's a stopper because there's an endless line and it can get lost up there. Like,
Yeah.
just know that, people. I'm just saying that just so you know.
There's
Yeah.
tons of people who are very open and willing to help support you with learning the basics of how to use some of the tools. And then it's like a canvas and a paintbrush. Like, yeah, here's what a canvas is, here's what a paintbrush is, this is different types of paints. You get to make your masterpiece. No one's going
And
to
you
tell
can
you
do
how to.
any and everything.
Yeah.
And that's, I love the idea that everything is kink, right? Like you get to play with anything, that it's really probably the most creative way of approaching sexuality. And I'm very aware of time. So, because like I said, we're going to come back to this topic because I think it's so
Cool.
interesting.
Yeah,
And
that sounds great. Yeah.
okay. So I'm going to give you my 10 questions, which I do with every one of my
Yay.
victims. Okay. So, um, what is one truth your body has always known that your mind took years to catch up to?
Ooh. Um uh Go slow. Yeah.
Ghostland.
Yeah. I'm a sloth. I'm a Taurus projector. I have no energy, and um I don't have to keep up with my friends who seem like they've been on cocaine their whole life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, I'm not a Taurus, so I'm a little bit of the cocaine running rabbit,
Mhm.
I think sometimes. What's the most intimate moment you've ever had that had nothing to do with sex?
Oh, every single time I look at my wife's eyes, like,
Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I just see her, and we say we're actually making love in that moment. So it's not about
Mm,
sex per se, but yeah, we make love all the time and we never have to touch.
love that.
Yeah.
If you could be remembered for one sensation you gave someone, what would it be?
I love that. Um, any version of them knowing they have more capacity than they thought they had. Yeah, like, oh, I can do it. Oh, I'm stronger than I thought. Oh, I'm bigger. Oh, I matter. I'm important. Some version of like, yeah, I see you, and you
Mm,
matter.
you. If pleasure were a language, what would your first word be?
Ooh, uh, yes, or more.
Yes. More. More, please. If your erotic life had a title, like a novel or a film, what would it be called?
Ooh, um, um, advanced introduction to creativity.
Ooh, advanced introduction to creativity. I like it. Okay. Now, what's one thing you've never said out loud but wish someone would ask you about?
Hmm. Hmm. Um, maybe um, I would love to be invited to co-direct a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll talk. Um, what part of your erotic self are you still afraid to bring to the light?
Hmm. Um, it's nice to find someone where there's a match always. I think I I've been clued into this projection that I have sex all the time, and
Mhm.
I really don't. Um, so I think that that's an interesting thing that I there's not a lot of opportunity to shut that down as a projection that I get, but it's fascinating to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so what dies in you when you pretend, and what comes alive when you don't?
Mm. It's the same thing. Like, like I said, I don't have a lot of energy and I'm a sloth most of the time, but like in these conversations, this is like my passion. This is my eros. This is my like this is me, this is my love. So if I'm pretending, if I'm in a place where I can't talk about this, or it's shut off or something like that, uh it's kind of like I'm sucked into this self, and it's less exciting, it's less fun, it's less passionate. So the game is finding this level of passion and joy in other areas. Yeah. So pretending is like sharing, not it's this. I can share the stage, but if I'm kicked off because somebody else needs it, that's different, and that's tough.
Yeah, it's more like getting your script taken away. It's like
Yeah,
when you're given the script and you're like, I don't like this one.
yeah. I
I
feel like
don't.
I'm
It's not
baby in the corner.
baby in the corner. Yeah, don't put baby in the corner. Finish this sentence. When I leave this life, I want my skin to remember.
Hugs.
Hugs. Beautiful. Last one. And if the soul has a scent, what does yours smell like today?
Ooh. Soul has a scent. I would say like a spicier version of jasmine.
Mm.
That or chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh, I like it. The chocolate chip cookies are definitely a female attractor, or like, right?
Yeah. Someone
The
said
scent of vanilla.
dating me is like biting into an oatmeal raisin cookie and realizing it's a chocolate chip cookie, and then half hour later realizing it was an edible.
Oh no! What?
So fun.
Oh, really? Yes.
So fun.
Okay, so we are wrapping up. I want to make sure that people know how to contact you. And I know it's aaronmandelbaum.com, correct?
Yep,
Which I
that's the
love.
best right now. It's going to get yeah, it's in the process of a rework at this moment. But yeah, I'm so findable. That's the best place you can find me. There's Instagrams, there's sub pages for all sorts of different things. And I'm so passionate about people finding what's right for them, that like I'm very okay if I'm not someone's medicine, but I know so many people and so many things. I'm happy to redirect.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm curious about this. Oh, check out this course, this workshop, this book, this other coach, this other person. You know, if it's for body work, if it's for business coaching, if it's for one-on-one coaching, like I got you. I
Yeah,
so
you've got
want
a
you to
really
succeed.
interesting, yeah, you've got your Voyage to Presence, the Dark Star Temple, and your one-to-one coaching. And then you also do retreats. I was taking a look. I was like, oh, is that for 2026? Gotta put those dates on it, or whether they were 2026 or 2025.
Yeah,
They're current. Okay, cool.
yeah. There's some
Okay.
current stuff. There's some good stuff coming up. So yeah, plenty of ways to interact and lots of fun stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Something for everyone.
Okay. Thank you for joining me. I'm so going to bring you back. Like I said, I'd love to have a deeper conversation around sacred kink, and just kind of go
Yeah.
into I can't say it, shemasochistic, shema,
Shemasochist. Yeah.
a shemasochist. I love that, a shemasochist. Somebody
Yeah.
chasing the extremes and the highs, and get deeper into that. Um, so thank you for joining us today. I'm going to say, everybody, to thank you for joining. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm at gwenmcarsley.com. You can always email me at info@luvology.com. And I think if there's anything that you want to add, we've got a few more minutes. Anything flavorful.
I would say if you can do it slow, you can do it fast. If you can't do it slow, you can't do it fast. Like
That's
take a
true.
breath, go slow, check in with yourself, like, and uh, don't settle for being pressured into any like really find the yes, honor your yes, honor your no. Find some
Mhm.
people who honor your no as well and your yes, and it's just so not worth it. And play curiosity without judgment. Find your yes and no, and then play. And the world is your oyster.
And don't bypass. Stay in this
Yeah.
amazing flesh and this
Oh.
body that's like the gift of being alive.
All that advice
Yeah.
about like, oh yeah, think about baseball and you'll last longer in bed. It's like, no, that's disappearing. Like, come
I
back,
know. What
take a
is
breath,
that?
feel yourself, be here. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody said that's a thing that, like the most common thing that a man will go to is think about baseball, which says a lot about baseball. But I'm like, real, like so I last long. I'm like, no, stay in your body, like learn to be in it, know when to pull
Yeah.
back, like the control of like
Oh,
slowing down and breathing instead of and like staying with the other person. I love that you like make love with your wife constantly just by looking, at her in her eyes, because
yeah.
that is it. Like if you're just rabbit hammering it, I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
just to
mean,
have the release. Yeah.
uh,
There's so much
joy,
more. There's
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 so
more
much
to go
more.
into. There's so
So much
much
more.
more. More last words are more.
Yay, more.
I want more. Okay. All right. Have a good one. Have a great weekend. I'll see
Thank
you
you so
next
much.
week.
Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Skin and Soul with me, Gwenm. Join me Fridays at 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio. Catch the podcast anytime on your favorite platforms. You can follow me on Instagram @Luvology. Ready to take the next step? Book a compatibility call with me at gwenmcarsley.com.